The elevator ding 2 floors down, a jacket zipper, a pigeon on the balcony railing. If your dog has a full volume opinion about every single sound within 100 feet, and your neighbors have started leaving notes, this one's for you. Barking isn't random, and it isn't your dog being bad. Every bark is your dog's answer to a question it's asking itself. And once you know which question, the barking has an off switch. I'm going to break down the 4 real reasons dogs bark, how to tell them apart in about 10 seconds, the training that actually reduces it long term, and the popular fixes that either don't work or work by hurting your dog. Let's fix it. First, the diagnosis, because stop the barking isn't one problem. It's 4 different problems that all sound the same. Type 1, alert barking. Something changed in the environment. A noise, a person passing the window, a knock, and your dog is announcing it. Sharp, short bursts, usually stops once the trigger's gone. Type 2, attention barking. Your dog wants something. Food, a walk, your eyes off your phone. And barking has worked before. This one often starts and stops depending on whether you're looking at your dog. Type 3, anxiety barking, which tends to be sustained, higher pitched, and shows up specifically around being alone or separated. If that's your pattern, my separation anxiety video is the deeper fix, linked below. Type 4, boredom barking. A dog with too much energy and nothing to do, often paired with pacing or destructive chewing. Same bark, 4 different causes, 4 different fixes. Getting this diagnosis right is most of the battle. Alert barking first, because it's the most common and the easiest to misunderstand. Your instinct is to yell over it. Quiet, quiet. But yelling is just you joining the barking. To your dog, it sounds like backup arriving, not a correction. The actual fix: acknowledge, thank, redirect. When your dog alert barks, walk over, look at whatever they're alerting to, and say a calm, "Thank you, I've got it." You're not being silly. You're confirming the message was received, which is often literally the entire job the bark was doing. Then cue quiet with a treat the instant the barking pauses for even 1 second. Timing the reward to the silence, not the bark, is what teaches the off switch. Most dogs cut alert barking from 10 seconds down to 1 or 2 barks within a couple of weeks because they've learned the alert function completes faster now. Attention barking has the simplest fix on paper and the hardest one to actually execute. 0 response every single time. The moment you glance over, sigh, say stop it, or even push your dog away, you paid the bark. Negative attention is still attention, and to a dog starved for it, being pushed away beats being ignored. The real fix is turning to stone. No eye contact, no words, no touch, arms folded, wait it out. The instant your dog goes quiet, even for a few seconds, that's when the attention arrives. Eye contact, praise, maybe the thing they wanted in the first place. Fair warning, this gets worse before it gets better. Dogs often escalate for a day or 2 when the old strategy stops working. That's not the fix failing. That's the old habit making one last push. Hold the line through the escalation and it collapses fast on the other side. Anxiety barking needs a completely different mindset, and treating it like the other 3 actually makes it worse. Empathetic. This isn't a dog choosing to be loud, it's a dog in genuine distress, usually tied to being alone or separated. Ignoring it doesn't teach anything, because there's no reward loop to interrupt. The dog isn't barking to get something, it's barking because it's scared. The real fix is the same absence ladder I cover in the full separation anxiety video. Tiny, successful reps of being alone that rebuild the belief that alone has an ending. If your dog's barking pattern is specifically starts within a minute of you leaving and doesn't taper off, stop treating it as a barking problem entirely. And go watch that video. It's linked below, and it's the actual fix for this specific type. Boredom barking is fixed by getting upstream of it entirely. Drain the tank before it fills, not after it overflows. A structured walk or play session before the hours you're usually working or busy makes a measurable difference. A physically and mentally tired dog simply has less barking in the tank. Add scent work specifically, because sniffing is disproportionately tiring for dogs relative to how calm it looks. A snuffle mat, a few minutes of find it with scattered treats, or a slow scatter feed instead of a bowl. And leave a job running during the boring stretches. A frozen puzzle feeder, a food dispensing toy, something that turns 15 minutes of nothing to do into 15 minutes of quiet work. Boredom barking usually isn't a training problem at all. It's a schedule problem wearing a training costume. In the actual moment, here's the fast diagnostic. Ask 3 questions. What just happened right before the bark? A sound, a person leaving, nothing at all? Who is the barking aimed at? The window, you, the empty room? And does it stop on its own once the trigger's gone, or does it just keep going? A clear trigger that fades once it's gone is almost always alert barking. Barking aimed at you that starts and stops with your attention is the attention type. Barking with no obvious trigger, aimed at nothing, that just keeps going, especially tied to being alone, points at anxiety. And barking that shows up in long stretches of unstructured time, often with pacing or chewing alongside it, is boredom. Most dogs run more than one type. Treat the one that's actually loudest in your specific house first. The not-to-do list, and this is where I get more direct than usual. Shock or citronella bark collars. They suppress the sound by adding pain or an unpleasant spray without addressing why the dog was barking, which means the underlying alert, anxiety, or boredom is still fully there, just with no outlet. And that suppressed stress has a track record of resurfacing as something worse, like increased anxiety or even aggression. Yelling. You're barking back, and dogs are excellent at reading tone, not vocabulary. Loud human noise reads as joining in, not correcting. Spray bottles or noise startle devices. Same mechanism as the shock collar, smaller dose of the same mistake. You're punishing the symptom, not answering the question the bark was asking. And I'll say this plainly since it still gets suggested online. Surgical debarking is not a training solution. It's a permanent procedure that doesn't address any underlying cause and carries real medical risk. It does not belong on the same list as training techniques, and I'd urge you to talk to a vet, not a groomer forum, if anyone brings it up. What to expect? Week 1, especially with attention barking, often looks worse before it looks better. That escalation is the old strategy failing loudly, not your training failing. Alert barking usually shortens the fastest, often within the first week, since you're not removing the behavior, just speeding up its job. Boredom barking improves roughly on the schedule of your new routine. Give it a week for the new energy outlets to actually catch up with the built-up restlessness. Anxiety barking is the slowest and needs its own dedicated ladder. Expect weeks, not days, and don't judge it by this video's timeline. If nothing's moving anywhere after 3 or 4 consistent weeks, that's the point to bring in a certified trainer for an in-person read on what's actually happening. Gear recap. Short list because barking is mostly about diagnosis and consistency, not products. Worth having: a snuffle mat and a puzzle feeder for the boredom type, and a white noise machine if outside sounds are driving a lot of your alert barking. Sometimes the cheapest fix is just muffling the trigger a bit. Skip completely shock collars, citronella spray collars, and ultrasonic anti-bark devices. All 3 work by making barking unpleasant rather than making it unnecessary, and all 3 carry the same underlying risk of pushing the actual cause somewhere worse. If a product's entire pitch is "stops the sound" and says nothing about why the sound was happening, it's a skip on this channel every time. So, figure out which of the 4 is actually talking: alert, attention, anxiety, or boredom, and match the fix to the type instead of trying one trick on all of them. Acknowledge and redirect the alerts, go to stone on attention seeking, run the real absence ladder for anxiety, and get upstream of boredom before it fills the tank. None of it needs pain, and none of it needs yelling louder than your dog. If anxiety is your dog's main driver, the deeper fix is on screen right now. Tell me in the comments which of the 4 types your dog runs. I'm curious which one's most common out there. I'm the dog fixer. Consider it fixed.